Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you a very festive, extremely colorful, very beautiful and functional deco mesh happy birthday wreath. Oh my gosh, this one is so pretty, chocked full of color, embellishments, a wood sign, and gorgeous ribbons. I'm creating mine for donation to the Quantum House. But think about it. This would be awesome to have in your home for birthdays for your family and friends. And also a great place to place this wreath is on the front door to greet guests attending a birthday. You could place this in the office for coworkers and any workplace, your church. Oh my, so many options. Such a great way to decorate a space for a birthday. This one is going to be a girly version of my happy birthday wreath, but I feel certain that it's going to be delightfully received. And in an upcoming video, I will show you a more gender neutral version of a happy birthday wreath. Come with me while I create this awesome wreath, while I try to inspire you too to create one. Welcome to my channel today. Please consider subscribing if you're not currently. Give this video a thumbs up, share this video with others, and as well, always leave me your comments. I love receiving them. Okay, let's look at the items that I used to create this wreath. I'm creating a large wreath today. So this is the 18-inch wire wreath frame. I got that at the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to be using 7 different meshes. Oh my goodness, this, like I said, this wreath has color, and lots of visual interest and lots of patterns in the deco mesh. This one is from Hobby Lobby, 40% off. This one is at craftcentraldesigns as well as the first one that you saw there. And this is a pink snowball, beautiful mesh. This was some deco mesh that I had left over from a spool that I picked up on clearance at Joann Fabrics. This is a gorgeous kind of a minty green. Oh, it's so pretty. That's from craftcentraldesigns. And it goes beautifully with that ribbon that I'm going to use with all the swirls on it. And of course, I'm adding my favorite mesh of all, which is the white with the line trim. And I picked that up at Hobby Lobby as well, 40% off every other week. I have there also a snowball white mesh, which I believe that one is craftcentraldesigns as well. Now, I am going to be using 4 ribbons on my bow. This is going to be a very big, beautiful bow. I got that Celebrate ribbon. Perhaps you remember recently I showed you that. I got that on the sale that they had at Michael's. I have that Happy Birthday ribbon there. That's from craftcentraldesigns. Here's another really pretty ribbon, a pink with little white polka dots, so pretty. Goes beautiful with the other ribbons and the mesh. That's Craft Outlet, I think I mentioned that. Another craftcentraldesigns ribbon. How perfect is this for a birthday wreath? So pretty. Now, I have a bunch of pipe cleaners here. All of them coordinate as best as possible to all of my wreath colors, my ribbons, and my tulle. I have there some clips from the Dollar Tree, going to be creating some bundles. I have there a rotary cutter, which I use to cut my mesh. And from craftcentraldesigns, oh my gosh, they have this tinsel flex tubing that is so pretty. It's not like the tubing that you get at the Dollar Tree. This is different. It's so much prettier. It has like a tinsely finish to it, and it's thicker and fluffier, and oh my gosh, do I love it. craftcentraldesigns. That's where I got it. Okay, I have this sign. I've had this for a while, but I know that they still have this on Amazon, as well as some other wood signs. Now, I'm going to completely transform this sign. I just wanted it for the shape and the thickness of the wood. Now, you could cut this out. You could sketch it out, cut it out with a jigsaw. That would be easy enough to do. I'll make some other suggestions regarding that later. I have there a couple of chalkboard pieces because I want to be able to put a name on the chalkboard on the sign for whomever's birthday it is, obviously. Now, this sign is okay, but I think I can make it a lot better. And just like I love transforming Dollar Tree signs, I'm going to do this one the same. Now, I have these pretty happy birthday letters. They're very sparkly and purple, and those are actually a cake topper. Now, you could use those. You could get those at any party supply store or even probably Hobby Lobby and Walmart. But I'm using those on my sign. Now, you could as well create some on Cricut or get some stick-on letters. But I love those letters. They're in a beautiful font, and I'm going to use those on my sign instead of what you see there. Okay, so I have a variety of paints, all of which match my ribbons and my deco mesh. So, like I said, I'm going to be painting this. You're going to also need, if you're going to cover up your sign entirely, I suggest you just give it a couple of coats of a chalk paint, and that makes it a lot easier to paint. And I also have there some diamond dust, very fine white glitter, as well as a little orchid glitter that I had picked up at some point in time in the Crafters Square section at the Dollar Tree. So, like I said, transforming that sign entirely, it's going to turn out so pretty. Obviously, you probably noticed that while looking at the wreath in the intro, but oh boy, it's so much fun. And I'll give you a lot of pointers on how to transform a sign like this if you continue to watch this video. All right, I'm going to be creating bundles. I'm actually creating 6 different bundle combinations. Yes, I said it. Lots of bundles. I put 32 bundles on this 18-inch wreath frame. So I wanted this wreath to be really dynamic and just wow. So I wanted it big, and that it is. Okay, so I cut my deco mesh in 16-inch lengths. I'm going to be pairing up this stripe white deco mesh with my snowball, that very pretty shade of green. So I roll up the ends about 3 to 4 times. Put a clip on it, turn it around, curl side up, by the way. And then I'm just going to crawl my fingers down the center, meet up with the other side, and clip it. Same with this one. Curl side up, turn it under. I always put my hands toward the outside edges to get a nice roll. I roll it up about 3 times. Go to the other side, do exactly the same thing. Then I put my thumbs in the center, take my fingers and walk my fingers down to the other side of the deco mesh. Now I make sure I have it nice and straight, and I'm going to crisscross those 2 deco mesh bundles to create one very pretty bundle. Now you can use as many types of deco mesh as you like. I mix mine up like crazy. I have deco mesh with stripes and thin stripes, thick stripes, snowball, stripes on the edges, different colors, different textures. For example, that green is a very sturdy, beautiful, soft deco mesh, and the other one is a little bit thinner. So I paired those 2 together, and they support one another, and that's just the way I look at it. I pair up my mesh like that. Okay, now I have this deep pink. This is the one I picked up at Hobby Lobby. This is going to pick up some of the colors in my ribbons. Now, this is a nice small stripe, as I mentioned before. I have the stripes, 16-inch pieces. I'm going to pair those 2 up, that deep pink and that orchid and white striped. Same procedure, 16-inch pieces. I roll it up on the edges, clip it, turn it around, always the curl side up. Roll that up a few times, scrunch down the middle. Same with this piece. Now you can use as many colors as you like. I'm going to suggest that you go to your deco mesh stash and see what you have left over, because a birthday wreath can be a lot of colors. Actually, the more colors, the better. Just really makes it pretty and festive looking. Okay, crisscross, add a half a pipe cleaner, wrap it around. Try to do it evenly so you have even tails to attach that to the wreath frame. Now I have my first 2 bundles all created. Look at it already beautiful. I'm going to be adding 2 more of a different type. I'm going to do this one with the stripe and the snowball mesh. And then I'm going to combine the orchid with the striped snowball. 32 bundles. Wow, that was a lot of bundles to create. Yeah, just turn on something on TV and get busy. Honestly, it's surprising that it really doesn't take that long. Maybe I just don't dwell on it. I just turn on TV, don't think about it, and I just go get busy. Okay, so I'm going to use the second wire and the innermost wire, and I'm just going to go back and forth. Second wire, then I'm going to attach the next bundle to the inner wire, then the second wire, then the inner, and I make sure that I put my deco mesh in a certain order. I actually write it down until I get going with my pattern, and every bundle that I attach, I'm going to make sure I'm placing a different color bundle next to that. So I have my pattern, my orchid and deep pink, my green and white. Then next, I believe it was my pink and white. And I just twist that, pull it nice and snug against the wreath wire, and give it a few twists to hold it on there. Yeah, the pink comes next. And now you're going to notice, if you're not used to doing deco mesh wreaths, that at first the deco mesh seems very loose and kind of wonky. Don't worry about that, because once you get all of those bundles on there, oh my goodness, it is going to be this lush, full bed of deco mesh, all pressed up against one another, and it no longer will be wonky and floppy. And here comes the orchid and white. And that's number 4 bundle. So as I mentioned, I have 4 different combinations. There's 32, so 8 of each. Now, I don't worry about what they look like as I put them on. I just keep applying them. Then I take some time after they're all on there, and I just go around the wreath, and I just place everything, straighten up any of my bundles, anything that comes uncurled, I adjust it. And that's what I'm doing here. I go around and situate everything just the way I want it. And then I have this beautiful bed of deco mesh to start creating my happy birthday wreath. Look at the colors on here. Oh my goodness. This is a very girly wreath, as I mentioned. I'm actually making 2 happy birthday wreaths for the Quantum House. If you didn't see my Pay It Forward video, it's only 6 minutes long if you want to check that out. And I'm explaining on that video that I'm doing some very wonderful projects for Quantum House, for the holidays, for just everyday decor. I'm donating many of the pieces that I do on my YouTube channel, and I'm just so happy to do it. If you're not familiar with Quantum House, it is a facility that is just like Ronald McDonald House. It provides a place for families to stay if they have a child in the family that's being treated for a serious medical condition. Absolutely gorgeous facility, amazing staff, and I couldn't be more delighted to be associated with the Quantum House. Just wonderful. Okay, so now I have my beautiful mesh tubing that I spoke about. And I cut about 32-inch lengths of, no, let's see, 42 inch lengths. And I'm going to make some figure 8 bows out of this. I leave about 8-inch tails, big loops on my bows around, I want to say maybe 9 or 10-inch loops. And I'm going to be inserting these around my wreath down into the deco mesh. And I love the look of the loops poking up as well as the tails. That you get quite a bit of mesh tubing in this package. I actually had some left over. I'm also going to be making some little spiral pieces to insert into the wreath. I figured out a way to make my own spirals with this mesh tubing, and it was so easy. It just occurred to me because I thought I want things popping up out of this wreath. So I'm going to show you that in just a little bit. Something new I figured out. God, it was really so simple. Honestly, it wasn't like I'm an Einstein or anything. It was really easy, but I'm going to show it to you. Look at these fluffy, pretty bundles. They're so nice and pretty and beautiful purple. I love the color. Okay. So on this girly wreath, as I keep referring to it, I am going to do this sign completely over. But I like it because it's like about 1/4 inch thick, maybe. And it's a nice piece. It's nice and flat. And I like the design of it. But I'm thinking that you could create this yourself. I actually, if I hadn't had this, I probably would have drawn it out on a sketchbook piece of paper, a big piece of paper, and just cut it out with a jigsaw, or had one of my sons do it, because it would be so easy to do. The only tricky part might be the candles on top, but you could improvise with that. You could also do just a 3-tier cake without all the layers graduating up to the top. You could just do a big cake like that, kind of a square shape. And you could do that, and then you could figure out something creative, like maybe some thick jumbo craft sticks to make the candles, something like that. I don't know. I have a lot of ideas for creating a happy birthday wreath, but this is the one I'm doing today, so let me get back to that. Now, I decided that I was going to repaint everything. I didn't like the yellow and orange in the middle. I didn't like the lettering. I just wanted to do it completely over. So, I thought at first, I'm just going to start painting over this, paint that's already on there. And then quickly I realized, no, you're going to be here all day putting layers of paint on. So what I decided to do was to take a little picker tool and pull off that scrapbook. It wasn't even like a chalkboard. It was like just this sheet of chalkboard film, I guess you could call it. I took my picker tool and I pulled that off, and now I'm just going to paint the whole thing with Snow White Waverly chalk paint. And if I put a chalk paint layer down over this, it's going to be so much easier for me to paint. So I painted the whole entire thing, as you can see. And then I took a pencil and I drew the lines, delineating each of the layers. I took a pencil and I just drew that in. Now, as you can see, I've had this all sped up because anyone can paint, but I'm just giving you an idea what I'm doing. I also wanted to paint the sides of the sign, and they weren't painted originally. Just everything about it, I just wanted to do it over. So I'm making my bottom tier of my cake a nice shade of purple. So I have lots of purples and pinks, as well as different shades of purples and pinks and orchids. And I even have a few other colors on this wreath. So it is just one very colorful, very festive looking wreath. So I put a couple of layers of paint on there, but it went on very well once I had that chalk paint down. And each of the layers I'm doing a little bit different. I'm going to also use that diamond dust glitter. I'm going to use, one of the tiers is going to be white, and I'm going to use Mod Podge and sprinkle that diamond dust glitter over it so it will be shimmery icing, which I think is going to look really pretty. And I'm also going to decorate the candles with polka dots and stripes. And for the candle light on the top, you'll see me later. I'm going to use a combination of golden, yellow, and orange to create the fire on the candles. And that's going to look so pretty. I'm also going to use spouncers, and I'm going to place some polka dots on one of my layers. So you can see there, I painted the sides like I wanted to. I also put a little scalloped line there with just chalk paint. And I drew some little specks that I wanted to look like sprinkles. I will be glittering those up later. Okay, so you can see I have everything all painted, all of the base of the cake. And now I'm going to start adding on all of my layers of decorations, just like you would do a regular cake. So I'm going to be using a spouncer. I have two different size spouncers. One, I believe, is like a 1/2 inch, and the other one is like, I believe, like a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to be putting polka dots on this cake. Now, anything that I do, no matter what it is, if it's something very feminine or something what I call girly, you're going to see me use polka dots, whether it's in ribbons or in paint. I just love polka dots. So I'm using Snow White Waverly chalk paint. I have a little paper towel there to dab it off because I don't want it globbed on there. And I don't care if it's entirely filled in. I want it to look kind of like icing polka dots. So I don't care if it's entirely filled in, but I do want all of the edges of the circle to be filled in so that it actually looks like a polka dot. So I just kind of wiggle my spouncer. Make sure that I have paint all around the edges of my spouncer. And I just give it a little bit of a wiggle to get a nice polka dot there. And I'm going to continue on doing that on that tier of my cake. Now you could keep like a paper towel nearby in case you need to dab some of your paint off. And there we have the polka dots. And look, just the details. I always talk about details, but I'm telling you, take the time to do the little details. And you'll be surprised how amazing your project turns out and what a difference it makes to spend those few extra minutes with details. Okay, so now I have a smaller little spouncer. I think it's a 1/4 inch. I pick my spouncers up either at Walmart or at Dollar Tree. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention I went to Dollar Tree this week. The Dollar Tree that I like the best, that is always the most stocked. And I was shocked. I went and, oh my gosh, the store was so full, so stocked. They had every shape and size of wreath frame. Everyone that you can imagine. They had everything. So my faith is renewed in Dollar Tree. Okay, so one of my candles is polka dot. I just drew some stripes on the other one. Now you'll notice the tier underneath the candles has some little, looks like little rings of polka dots. I just used a straw. I have a plastic straw. I dipped it in some orchid paint, and I just put little ringlets on my top tier of my cake. So now I'm going to use a flat paintbrush. I'm going to load up one side with orange and load up the other side with yellow. And I'm going to blend my colors to create the flame on the candles. And this way I can make it look, more authentic to fire. Certainly much better than the one that was originally on there. So this is very easy. If you have any painting experience, we're just blending the colors. So on one side of the brush, it's yellow. The other side is orange. And then I just blend it. And I run most of my yellow right down the center of the flame, leaving more of the orange on the sides. And then I just blend the colors. And this just turns out super pretty. And I did do the sides of the flame. I wanted all of the sides, everything on my cake as well as the candles to be painted. And that, again, that's what I mean about details. Doing all those little extras. And my last flame there. See how pretty this looks? Now on my polka dots, I took a small paintbrush. I believe I do show you that. But I took a small paintbrush, squirted some Mod Podge onto a paper plate, and I filled in my polka dots with Mod Podge. I just did a few at a time because Mod Podge just dries so quickly. And I sprinkled my very fine diamond, I just call it diamond dust glitter. See how pretty those flames look? Oh, they look so good. And then I just glittered up my polka dots. I'm also going to do the same thing with my sprinkles on my cake. But the same method, using a paintbrush, one by one, putting a little Mod Podge on the sprinkle, and then just sprinkling some glitter. Now, I showed you a Sharpie marker there. That's a fine point Sharpie marker. I went around my cake on the edges as well as the delineation of the tiers, one next to the other, and I just drew squiggle lines. I did not do a straight line. I wanted it to look fun and whimsical, so I just drew little squiggle lines all around the edges, all around the sides. I thought I showed you that, but now I'm thinking maybe that I didn't. But honestly, it doesn't even take any artistic talent. I just drew little wavy, squiggly lines to kind of define all the features of my cake, including the candle. So that way I had like a defining line between the tiers of the cake, but I did it with a very fine point Sharpie marker. Nothing heavy. I didn't even want to do it with paint. I just wanted a super fine lines. That's why I chose the fine point Sharpie marker. Okay, so I'm doing my little glittering of my polka dots now. Now for the large section of the cake, I'm just going to use a sponge applicator and just fill that in with Mod Podge and then sprinkle some white glitter on there. Now for some of my other areas, like the polka dots on my candle and some, Sprinkles, yeah. Couldn't think of the name. Sprinkles. I did some on my sprinkles, and I think I did some on my candle. But I used that little, it's a nice little glitter from Dollar Tree. Every now and then they do have some glitters. So that came in very handy. And again, just took my little paintbrush, filled in the little areas of the polka dots, and then I just sprinkled my glitter. And my cake is coming along so pretty. Now, you know, as I look at this, I'm thinking of another option that you might do. You might do just a nice big cupcake. Maybe, not when I say big, I mean maybe like a 10-inch cupcake. But that would be so easy to draw out and so easy to cut with a jigsaw. And then, you know, you could decorate that. You don't have to necessarily do, you know, a 4-tier cake. You could do something very cute with a big cupcake. So that's another option. Something easy to draw and something easy to cut out and just have fun with painting it. Add sprinkles, add glitter, add polka dots. Yeah, that would be super cute for a birthday wreath as well. Okay, so now I'm working on the sprinkles. And I think for the tray that the cake is sitting on, I think I just left that white. Yeah, I did. I left that white and I just put a layer of that fine white glitter on there. So that's how I did that. Now later on toward the latter part of the video, you're going to see that I made a couple of really cute bows. One to go at the top of my cake and one to go at the base by the lower right-hand side on the platter. And that's a really pretty addition to the wreath. You'll see that later. Okay, so I got this little chalkboard piece at Hobby Lobby in the wood aisle. And it's got the 2 little holes because I guess it was meant to hang. It had a little jute cord in there and I took it out. Well, I have these little gems that I had picked up at some point in time at the Dollar Tree. And they're really pretty. They're like pinkish orchid. And they have a little point on the back side of them. They come to like a little point. I'm going to take some Aleene's Tacky Glue, put a little glue in there and just pop those gems right into that hole. And now it's going to be, you know, just embellished. Now, I do go further with this chalkboard because the more I looked at it, the more I wanted it to be more, you know, better, more festive looking, more sparkly, more, you know, suitable for the cake. Okay, so I have that on. I'm going to wait for that to dry, but you can see there I'm rubbing my finger on the edges because I feel like that chalkboard needs some embellishment. So what I decided to do was take Mod Podge and I went around the edges of that little chalkboard piece and I put orchid glitter, that glitter from the Dollar Tree. And I did do one more little thing later, but now let's talk about the bow. This ribbon is absolutely gorgeous. I picked this up. It's a Celebrate ribbon. When they had the big sale on ribbon, I absolutely love it. It's this beautiful fuchsia color. I'm going to create a very big, beautiful bow with 4 ribbons. I'm going to fold over my loops. They're going to be around 12 inches in length. And I left about 18 inches length on my tails because I want those to be cascading down from the wreath. Now I'm using my fold over, pinch in the center method. I do have bow tutorials. I am going to do one in the near future as well, but perhaps you could just watch and pick up what you can by watching me do this bow, because there's 4 layers to this bow, and this is the same method that I always use. I twist my ribbon, fold over my loops, pinch it in the center, hold it with my thumb and my index finger, and I go from side to side. I'm going to create 3 loops on each side or 6 loops all together. Pinch it in the center, and I can compare my loops by simply just pressing them up against one another. I want them to be symmetrical from side to side, but also, on each side. I want them to be the same size up next to one another, if that makes sense. I'm going to take a pipe cleaner, wrap it around the center, twist it secure in the back a couple of times. This is going to be the base layer of my big, beautiful bow. I cut my ribbon off from the spool, the same 18 inches, and then I'm going to move on to the next layer of my bow. This ribbon is extremely compliant. It is a Celebrate ribbon, and one of the reasons why I love these ribbons so much is because of the fact that they are so compliant. They're sturdy, they're beautiful, they're just a beautiful fabric. Love them. Okay, next layer of my bow is going to be this craft outlet ribbon. It's a very pretty fuchsia kind of color, fuchsia pink. I'm going to make my bow loops around 11 inches, so they're going to be just a little bit smaller. Now this is sped up here, but like I said, catch what you can. And I will do a detailed tutorial here within the next week or two. Hopefully get you to be able to make bows like I do. Okay, so same process. 3 loops on each side, fold over my loops, pinch it in the center. I'm going to secure that with a pipe cleaner right down the center. Wrap it around the back, give it a few twists, and that's layer number 2. Okay, so next, I've got to cut that off from the spool, obviously. That is the other tail. And I'm going to pull that tail around. Take a look at my bow. Now I'm going to shape it beautifully once I get everything all layered upon one another, but just taking a good look at it here. Looks fine and beautiful on top of that stripe. And do I ever love to mix patterns on my bows? And this bow really holds true to my passion for mixing patterns. So the bottom layer has a beautiful stripe. The next layer has a tiny polka dot. This layer has swirls. And I just think the bow turned out gorgeous. Same process. My loops are just a tiny bit smaller. I want to say around 10 inches. And I'm going to create another 3 loop on each side bow, or 6 loops all together. Same method, fold over, pinch it in the center, shaping my loops. And the same length on the tail. All of my tails for each of the bows, I leave at 18 inches. That gives me the opportunity to trim my tails exactly like I want them once I get it on the wreath. Another pipe cleaner down the center. Twist in the back. I will be cutting off my pipe cleaner tails when I start to layer these bows together, because I need a nice flush application, one bow on top of another. And we still have one more bow to go, and that's going to sit right on the top. Now this ribbon is so pretty, and don't you think the swirls just go perfectly on a happy birthday wreath? I do. I think it looks beautiful. So the ribbon that I'm going to use on the top, and I got this from craftoutlet.com, it is actually a happy birthday ribbon. Now this has an assortment of colors. It has pinks, and it does introduce a couple of other colors, just kind of subtle like, but still. This ribbon is very pretty. It's got a fine glitter, and it just says happy birthday over and over on the ribbon, and I really love that I have a ribbon that says happy birthday to go on this wreath. Now my loops are a little bit smaller. I want to say 9.5 inches maybe. 3 loops on each side. This is a 1.5 inch. Now you can mix your widths of ribbons. So this is a perfect example of that. My other ribbons are 2.5 inches. And this is a 1.5, but that's okay. You can mix it up. So I'm going to do 3 loops on each side, but I'm going to add a little bit more fullness on this one. So what I'm going to do is add a single loop that's going to sit right on top of the 3 loops. And that's going to be a little bit smaller in length, probably around 8 inches maybe. Twist the ribbon, fold it over, and put a single loop on the other side. And what this does is it adds fullness to the bow. I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, wrap it around, secure all those loops. Now I'm going to do one more thing here because this is the top bow, and I never put a bow on anything that it does not have some type of center adornment. And in this case, I'm going to do a loop right down the center, and almost perfectly, but not quite, you can see happy birthday right down the center of that loop. Now I have these nice long tails that say happy birthday, and I'm going to definitely want to have those trailing down the side of the wreath. And I do believe I gave them a little bit of a curl as they trail down. And that's our top tier to our bow. Super pretty. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just trim off any excess pipe cleaners, fold down any pipe cleaner that's poking up. Again, the reason being I need for these bows to sit very flush upon one another. Okay, so we're going to start with our base bow. And what I do is I open up the tails, put my hand right down the center, right to in between the tails, and then I open up all of my loops, and just so they can receive the next layer. Okay, now I have my hand going right down the center of the tails there. Now I'm going to align those bow centers one on top of another. See how I have my tails separated and my hands going right down the center? I'm holding that very tightly in the center, opening up my loops of my bow to receive the next one. Next is the swirls. Press that center to center. Separate the tails. See how I have my hand right down the center there? Holding everything nice and tight. Opening up the loops to receive the next layer. I'm showing you there. Make sure everything's aligned on the center of your bow. And then the last one goes right on top. Now I'm going to take one full-size pipe cleaner, pop it right through the center loop, right down the center in between the tails, bring it around the back, holding it all the while very secure. Pull it in the back super, super tight. Super tight. And then I twist. Now the tails of this pipe cleaner were not quite long enough to go through that crazy pile of deco mesh that I had on that wreath that was so thick and full and beautiful. So I had to take a couple of little pieces of pipe cleaner and create little extenders on the tails of the pipe cleaners so that I could reach through the deco mesh to attach that to the wreath wires. So yeah, there's a remedy for everything. And that's what I did. Okay, so now I'm just shaping my bow a little bit to see what it looks like. I'm very happy. I think it's just gorgeous. And I will do more. I'll be trimming up the tails once I get it on the wreath. And I'm very happy. As you can see, a little applause there. Okay, so now I'm looking again at this little chalkboard. And I mentioned before that I decided to take a little paintbrush and use some Mod Podge and put Mod Podge along the sides of my little chalkboard sign. Now, when I take this wreath to Quantum House, I'm going to be making a little felt pouch to put on the back of the wreath, and I'm going to tuck some pieces of chalk in there. And that way, whenever there's a birthday at the Quantum House, they will have the chalk to put whomever's birthday it is, the name on the chalkboard. So I think that's a great way to just kind of personalize the birthday experience. Okay, so you could see that adds some pizzazz there. Do you think I'm going to take those stickers off? Yeah, eventually I'm going to. Okay, so now I have my very pretty sparkly purple letters. Love the script. And again, this was just a cake topper that you could stick into a cake. You could use whatever kind of letters that you want. You could even create them on your Cricut if you have one. You could use stick-on letters. You could hand paint it if you're good at that. But anyway, I'm going to put my letters on. Now, at first I thought, okay, I'm just going to lift the letters and put, a little dab of glue here and there. And that idea went out the window real quick because it just wasn't working. It was sticking to my fingers and everything. So I ended up taking it off entirely, taking Aleene's tacky glue, just going over the back of the letters with the Aleene's. And then I'm just going to put that right on the front of the cake for both happy and birthday. Now, I don't really go to those party supply places like Party City and all the different ones that there are. But maybe they might have a wood sign. I really don't know. I know they have them on Amazon. Or again, you could create your own. But I just think it's an awesome thing to have for this wreath. Look how pretty this is coming along. I'm just so happy with it. Okay, I'm going to show you how I do my little spiral curly pieces that I'm going to stick into the wreath. I cut 12-inch pieces of this mesh tubing. The reason why 12 is because the pipe cleaners are 12 inches. Now, I had some sparkly purple pipe cleaners that I must have picked up at some point in time at the Dollar Tree. I don't really like Dollar Tree pipe cleaners for creating bows, but for something like this, it worked really well. So I poke my pipe cleaner through the mesh tubing, and then I close the ends up a little bit just by bending the pipe cleaner wire. And then I take a straw, or you could use a pencil, and I just wrap it around, and I created these cute little spiral pieces that is going on my wreath. Look, those are not cheap when you buy them on craftoutlet.com, but I created mine very easily. How about that? First time I've ever done that, and I love the idea of it. So it's true they don't have like a wire, but I don't really care because I'm putting two together, and at the base I just glue them together and pop them down into my wreath, and those will stick very well to the deco mesh with a little bit of hot glue. So yeah, look what I created, my little spirals. And they look really pretty on the wreath. I'm going to show you one more time. I cut a 12-inch piece. I take a pipe cleaner, poke it right down the center, showing you that's what I'm putting on the wreath. Now, for my little spiral bundles there, I believe I created 6 of those. And for my figure 8 bows with the mesh tubing, I created 8. So I have 32 bundles of deco mesh on the wreath. And then I added my figure 8 bows and my little spiral mesh tubing bundles. So I take the little end of the pipe cleaner there, kind of fold it over. If I have any like scraggly ends, I just snip those off, wrap it around, coil it up, and this creates a very cute little embellishment for the wreath. Very cute for a wreath of this type, this happy birthday wreath. Okay, so, oh boy, I put my bow on. It's so pretty. I put it at 9 o'clock on this wreath. I made sure that I placed the bow so it extended into the center of the wreath a little bit. I didn't want it off to the side too much and flopping off the wreath. It's such a large bow that I made sure I made it more toward the center than toward the outside, if that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to layer my tails. I want them nice and long. And what I'm going to do by okay, I can't speak. What I mean by layering, geez, is each one of my ribbons, starting with the base bow, I make it a little bit shorter so that when the ribbons hang down, you could see a layered effect. So each one, you'll be able to see this a little bit better here in a minute. My hand is a little bit out of frame, but I'll show you what I mean here. Now, on my happy birthday ribbon, I tried not to cut through happy birthday because I like that, to be able to see that as much as possible. So for the other side now, the other set of tails, those I make even with the set of tails that I did on the right side. So see how as I go down, I make them a little bit longer, and it creates a layering effect. See how you can see all of the ribbons then. I hope that makes sense as I'm going on and on here. Oh boy, that's a pretty bow. Okay, for the sign, I have to be able to attach it. So I took 3 full-size pipe cleaners, and I have 3 little pieces of felt. I'm just going to use hot glue that down. Then I'm going to take an extra little piece of felt, some extra glue, and I'm going to glue that down just for added security. And simple enough, I'm just going to place that on the wreath, reach through the deco mesh, and attach that sign by the pipe cleaners to the wreath wire. Now I place my sign like around 1 to 2 o'clock. So I did my bow at 9, and you can see where I placed my cake. It's 1 to 2 o'clock. Now I'm going to go around and place on my mesh tubing bundles. And I just attach those to the wreath wire, reach my fingers down through there, and I just place them around the wreath to, create balance. I want them distributed well so that the color is distributed well around the wreath. Then for the loops, I like to just arrange them. I snip off the tails at an angle, but I do like the tails poking up. I'm going to do the same thing with my little spirals. Also, on the cake, you'll notice on the chalkboard, I put some little white polka dots. I added a little bit of extra something there, and I like it. I think it looks super cute. I just used the end of a very narrow dowel, and I dipped it in white chalk paint, and I just went around the edge of the little chalkboard, and I put little polka dots. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to place some of those little pinkish, orchidish, I don't know what color they are really, just pretty, around the wreath, and I'm going to place them with a little dab of Aleene's Tacky Glue all around the wreath by placing them on the mesh. Now, the mesh has the kind of open weave, so the little points of those gems just sit very nicely down in the openings in the deco mesh. How many did I put on here? Oh, wow, I don't know, maybe 25, 30. I put them all around the wreath, and it added a little shimmery bit, and so pretty. And that was it. That was the last little embellishment, aside from the ribbon bow that I placed on the lower right-hand side of the cake, right where the cake tray is. Now, I used a Robert Stanley narrow ribbon, very, very pretty, very sturdy ribbon, with it's purple with white polka dots. I'm going to do a little 3-loop bow and a figure 8 bow. Fold my loops over, then under, then over, then under. I will cover figure 8 bows in my upcoming tutorial as well, but this is the easiest bow to create. I fold it under, keeping a nice tight hold in the center, then I fold it over on the other side. Now I'm going to leave about 8-inch tails, and I'm going to use some wire to secure this. So I cut off a little piece of wire. I'm going to wrap it right around the center of the bow and pull it super tight. And when I do that, it gathers up the ribbon right in the center, and I love the look of that. Twist that in the back. Now again, details. This was just another detail. Every time you add something extra on, it just gives it more visual interest. Okay, so now I have this really luscious shade of pink. This is a Celebrate ribbon. Beautiful shade of pink. Beautiful satin. I'm going to do another figure 8. Little bit smaller loops on this one. Fold it over and then under, holding it in the center, fold it over and then under. And one more time, fold it over, holding it in the center, snip it off from the spool. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my wire. Wrap it around the center, pull it super, super tight. Let that ribbon just gather up right there in the center. Pull it. There we go, just like that. Twist it. Nice and tight in the back. And then I have one more purple ribbon, but this is even more narrow than the ribbon I used for the base of the bow. And it's just going to be a super cute addition to this wreath, pulling all the colors of the wreath together. See how that's a little bit more narrow? The polka dots are a little smaller, so that bow has a little bit of visual interest. Doing the figure 8 again, 3 loops. Then what I'm going to do is hot glue all of those bows together, and then I'm going to take a little piece of that narrow purple ribbon with the white polka dots, and I'm just going to wrap it around the center because that bow has to have some type of center. Pull it nice and tight to gather up those ribbons right in the middle. Now I'm going to make sure I snip off the back of the wire on the back of each of those bows and fold it down so I have a nice flush application. Again, one bow on top of another. And when I do little small narrow bows like this, often you'll see me use hot glue because it works just fine. You could wire it if you want to. Opening up the loops to receive the last little bow that goes on top of there. A little bit of hot glue. And now I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, which I often do. They have the little gripper teeth on there, and I just squish it really, really hard while it's drying, and then I get a nice flat center to my bow. And then I'm just going to take that little piece of ribbon with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to wrap it right over the center to finish that off so you don't see any wire at all. And that's it. That is my last embellishment. I did off camera put one little small narrow ribbon bow right at the top of the cake on the upper left, right up by the candle. So you might notice that on the finished wreath. But you do you. You decorate your happy birthday wreath the way you like. Now, I mentioned before I'm going to be doing more of a gender-neutral happy birthday wreath within the next week that I'm also taking to Quantum House. And that will be a little bit different style, but very festive and just a really pretty colors. So be looking for that. And I'll trim up my tails by angling them and let those little tails just kind of hang down across the wreath. And that's the last embellishment for this wreath. And I'm all done. And my wreath is all ready to go to Quantum House. Hopefully you will look at my Pay It Forward video. As I mentioned, it's only 6 minutes long. And I'd like to tell you all about what I'm going to be doing. Okay, here you have it. One last look at this beauty. It is chocked full of embellishments and color. Can you see the little sparkly gems sitting on the deco mesh? It's glittery, it's festive, it's just so perfect and beautiful. Tell me what you think of this one. I love it. Okay, remember, if you are not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of this one. And if you were going to make one, how would you make yours? What colors would you use? Okay. Let me know what you think. Okay, until next time, you all take care.